Hello lovely people, welcome to today's video. We've got something a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing some coffee tasting with Will, head of Pact Coffee, and we're going to be heading on a bike ride and we're going to talk about all things coffee, and hopefully you guys are going to actually learn something as well. So Will, what are we up to today?
So we've got a range of coffees for you to taste. Kind of talking about where coffee comes from, why I write the ridiculous tasting notes I do.
Yeah.
And also how you can make sure you always get coffee that tastes really good and really fresh.
Awesome. So you touched on it then, where does the coffee come from?
Coffee in general comes from between the tropics. It grows on mountainsides and it grows on big plains. Actually grows as a cherry on a tree, but actually it comes from people, and people make it taste like it does, and it has all these wonderful tastes and flavours.
Many of my audience are cyclists themselves, and as you know from being a cyclist, coffee is probably the only essential other than your bike and your cycling kit when it comes to going out on a ride. So I think this is something that you guys hopefully will get a lot of benefit from. I know I will.
Yeah,
so what coffees have we got to try today?
So we've got a coffee from Colombia and called El Paraíso. We've got a coffee from Ethiopia called Aroma, so we're going to see some real big differences there.
Okay.
And then we have our Gran fondo filter coffee.
I know, I've already had a sneaky try of this one. Yeah, so the Gran fondo is the one that's developed with Gran Thomas, right?
Yes, yeah. So the development of this one was really good fun. It's actually a year ago to the day, I think, I met Gran at the World Championships. I saw you afterwards.
Yes! Yeah.
Hi, and I got this amazing coffee. So I was out with Team GB yesterday. We brewed up a really special espresso blend with Alice Barnes. So we went up and we were working with Alice Barnes at the time on her World Championship blend, and made espresso for everybody. And spoke to Gran at the time, and he was just talking about how much he loves espresso, and obviously. Both being from Cardiff, we chatted on for ages, and
you had a bond.
Yeah. So if you start at this end, we're going to taste the Aroma first. This is an Ethiopian coffee. It should be quite light and floral.
It does smell good.
Roast is slightly lighter.
Yeah, that's my jam. That is really nice.
Yeah. And when you're drinking it, what you want to do is make sure you're breathing in and out through your nose. It's actually the most important thing for detecting flavour. Because unless the vapour can get up behind your nose where you smell, you won't detect the flavour. So what you should get is a big burst of flavour as you breathe out with the coffee in your mouth. This works for everything. So if you're tasting wine, if you're tasting whiskey, if you're tasting fruit.
Do we have to do the little swivel like you do with the wine?
Yeah, the most important thing now is to jump straight onto the next coffee.
Okay.
So no rinsing your mouth, no think about anything. Your brain is really good at tasting the immediate difference between two things. Okay. So moving on to this next one now, we're in Huila in Colombia, so an ocean away.
It's quite a profound difference, isn't it? It's more...
There's kind of dark chocolate characteristics in there, but there's still some fruitiness. So most people in the UK will be brewing with a cafetiere. The problem with brewing with a cafetiere is you're using a metal mesh filter.
Got you.
It lets all the little tiny bits of coffee and the fats in, and that makes it really difficult to taste these flavour differences. Because the V60 uses a paper, it actually gets rid of those fines of coffee and makes it easier to detect all these things. It also makes it much easier to clean than a cafetiere. I don't have a big problem with the cafetiere, apart from the fact that everywhere you go, even in our house, you brew the cafetiere and no one ever wants to clean it.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, you finish your brew, you fold it up, you drop it in the bin.
Yeah, it's nice and simple. Okay, last one.
So we're going darker with roast here, and now we've got a blend of two coffees.
I think I can tell that this would be better in like an espresso, like it's quite rich and...
Yeah, full. There's lots of body in here, and we've gone Ethiopia, Colombia. This is a blend of Rwanda and Colombia to kind of match the taste characteristics Garrett was looking for. Yeah. But it was important to me that we also touch on the communities we work in, where cycling is really important.
Yeah, of course.
So in Colombia and in Rwanda, having a bike gives you social mobility. So yeah, much darker here, still some fruity characteristics, but certainly very different.
How does that change the roasting? Why do you roast the coffees in the way that you do?
So when we're tasting these, what we've got is kind of lighter roasts to darker roasts.
Okay.
When we buy the coffee, when it lands in the UK, I roast them all really light, and I'm looking for what the potential of the coffee is. So through the buying process, I've tasted these coffees numerous times. What we want to do is understand where the coffees come from, kind of how the terroirs impacted what the coffee's going to taste like.
What's a terroir? Can you explain that? Sorry, I have no idea what you just said.
So terroir is a French word for terrain. It's used in wine all the time.
Okay.
And it basically means what's the soil type? Does it rain? Is there wind? How much sun does the land get?
Because obviously that affects the plant and changes the taste of it.
Yeah, changes the nutrients the plant gets, changes the amount of energy it gets, what elevation is at, what altitude is it at. That's going to change the rate at which the cherries grow.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that impact the taste and flavour. What we want to do when it arrives is roast it in a way that highlights all the best taste and flavours.
So you've talked a bit about the roasting process. Does it matter when you roast it in terms of roasting it to getting it to the customer?
Yeah, it has a massive impact. So we just say fresh is the best. So coffee you have in a supermarket might sit on a supermarket shelf for 3 months.
Okay.
The flavour that you taste in supermarket coffee, that coffee flavour, the flavour you get in a coffee chocolate in your box of chocolates at Christmas, that's really stale coffee flavour. You've got to think about coffee like you think about your loaf of bread at home.
Okay.
So if you buy a loaf of bread fresh from a supermarket or your local bakery, ideally you want to be using that loaf of bread within a couple of weeks, otherwise it's going to taste stale.
Yeah.
If you slice that bread, it's going to go stale faster. Likewise, if you grind your coffee, it's going to go stale
Got you, yeah.
So every coffee that we ship at Pact has been roasted within 7 days of shipping.
Okay.
But in most cases, that the roasting day is the day before it's shipped.
Okay.
So we try and get the coffee out as fast as is humanly possible after roasting, because that's how you're going to get those delicious flavours that occur in coffee. Because the last thing we want is to sell people stale coffee, because everyone else is doing that. I
am definitely a convert to, having super fresh coffee, and with Pact they make it super easy. You can. I like that it's plans and not subscriptions, so you can adjust it, and also the fact that on the website, every time you get a coffee, you rate it, and then it the algorithm works out, okay, these are coffees that you like. If you didn't like it, they won't send it to you again. And then, like you say, you just get closer and closer to your dream coffee.
Ideally, with Pact, you should be drinking a coffee that's the best coffee in the world for you at any given moment at home. And it's only 46p a cup. You save the money, and more of that 46p goes back to the farmers. We're paying farmers 50 to 100% more than even the fair trade rate. All Pact customers can be part of that relationship through the transparency, knowing where it comes from, and we're hoping to be able to have much more interaction between the farmers themselves and the end consumer.
So now that we're suitably caffeinated, this is Kieran McVitie's channel, so it would only be right to go out on a bike ride. So
can't wait.
Let's go.
Perfect.
Cheers, Will. With cycling as well, you have there's obviously a spectrum of how nerdy you want to get with it. I feel like half the reason that coffee is such a big thing within cycling is because you can have that same sort of level of geeking out on it as you can with the tech of cycling.
Exactly.
So we've just stopped to admire this amazing view. We've been really lucky with the weather today. When I arrived at Will's, it was absolutely tipping it down.
I thought we were going to need a few more warm cups of coffee when we got back, and now we'll be drinking iced coffee. Cool back down.
I think so. It's a bit hot, isn't it? Talking of coffee, let's go.
For the record.
We have just stopped for a quick espresso at Pearson's because Pearson's actually does packed coffee. They've got the Gran fondo edition at the minute, so we thought, why not?
Time for a tasty coffee. Welcome to Pearson's, what can I get you?
I'll have an espresso please, sir.
Perfect. The trick here is doing this by eye. Back in the old days of the UK Barista Championships, we had to do this all by eye, no scales, nothing.
Wow.
It's not a skill modern baristas need so much now. There we go. Look at that.
Awesome. Thank you
Stunning.
kindly. Just gonna head and do some heart claps. Cycling so much.
It's just been built into our DNA from the start. You know, back in the early days, it was an important part of the culture in the company, and you know, everyone would ride into work, and we had, you know, it was just great in the office. But also, you know, when you begin looking for cycling, suddenly you begin realizing what an important part it is to do with social mobility the world over.
Yes.
You know, you see people in Rwanda able to completely change their life just by access to a bike. Likewise in Colombia.
Yeah.
And you know, it all just ties together. You know, you can't be a cyclist and not love coffee.
No.
And people that fall in love with coffee also end up riding bikes. It's just a strange connection that's always existed and always will.
Match made in heaven.
Yes. Exactly.
So we're finally back from the bike ride. Huge thank you, Will. Thank you for being a part of this crazy adventure we've had.
It's been a great day. Nice to get on my bike in I think it's the last of summer, right?
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to find more about Pact, I'm going to leave all the links in the description below. Maybe try out a few coffees. I'll leave the coffees that we were tasting today down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button. This is YouTube after all, you've got to smash it. And subscribe for more content. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.